Good evening, Facebook community. This is Jennifer with Uplifting Life Naturally, hopping on here for my evening live at 9:05. Just taking a few minutes out of my crazy evening to share a little message with you. I was doing a little bit of reading. As many know, my life is extremely crazy with my children and work and everything else that life has to throw at me. And one thing I found myself questioning, a lot lately is what is up with my kids and their attitudes. Those of you who have teenagers, preteens, children, and I know it starts earlier and earlier these days. So at any age, if you have children, their attitudes, mine totally drive me nuts. So, I started thinking, well, what can I do about this? Because, I'm not a negative Nelly type person. For the most part, try to be pretty positive, and I do struggle with, where my kids come up with their negative Nelliness, constantly. So, I started reading a book, and it's actually called Believe You Can, The Power of a Positive Attitude by John Mason. And I'll put the title of the book in the comments below for anybody who, might find this book to be helpful or interesting as well. And I just wanted to start out, and it was actually the very first chapter, the first, page that I absolutely loved. And basically it's talking about, and I apologize for not looking at the camera, but I'm going to kind of read the story to get the gist of it. But there was a middle-aged woman who had a heart attack. She was rushed to the emergency room, and while on the operating table, she had a near-death experience. In coming in contact with God, she questioned, well, is this my time? And of course, he replied, no, you have another 43 years, 2 months, and 8 days to live. So, she came out of her surgery well, and of course, for all you healthcare, friends of mine hopping on, you'll get a chuckle out of what happens next, because this does not happen in this day and age. But at any rate, in the story, upon recovery from her heart attack, she decided to stay in the hospital, and she was going to have a facelift, liposuction, a tummy tuck, the whole works. She even had someone come in and change her hair color. So, after all this was done and she was made up to be the new person that she wanted to be, after all, she had 40 some years of, life left, she decided she was going to leave the hospital. So upon leaving the hospital, she gets hit by an ambulance as she's crossing the street. This time she's not so fortunate. She makes it up to heaven, and upon arriving into God's presence, she questioned him questioned him about, I thought you said I had another 40 plus years to live. His response, I didn't recognize you. So with that said, I want to, really put the message out there that, we really do need to strive to be who we are, to be ourselves. And it's a strong, or a hard issue, I know, for young girls to, I guess, accept, with all the peer pressure, all of their friends, what everyone is doing. But, I find it pretty important to try to, encourage, my daughters to, be themselves, be who they are. And, that's the only way that they're ever going to truly be happy. And it's true for any of us. We're